In tonight's news, Hong Kong's electricity providers roll out sweeteners ahead of an expected tariff hike. Researchers warn of more hot nights and downpours as a result of climate change. And Hong Kong's trade improves, with exports rebounding after 17 straight months of decline.
On the eve of unveiling tariff adjustments for next year, the city's two power companies announced subsidies and rebates to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. CLP Power says it has set aside over $200 million for the needy. Elderly and low-income households will receive a rebate of $600 for their electricity bills next year, while tenants of subdivided units will even get $1,000. Chief Corporate Development Officer Quinn Zhong denied suggestions that the incentives paved the way for a steep tariff hike. She pointed out the initiative has been undertaken for a few years already. Hong Kong Electric, meanwhile, earmarked $55 million next year for green and social welfare initiatives. That includes handing out $200 cash coupons to around 10,000 disadvantaged households. But the Society for Community Organization was skeptical, saying such vouchers usually come with strings attached.
They can go to any shop they want and then just use it inside. It's easy, yeah. But if they have a voucher and then have designated shop and then it's not convenient for them, or that shop is very expensive, they would like to have directly have the benefit, the money subsidy they to pay for the electricity.
Hong Kong Electric is also planning to offer up to $200,000 for each non-governmental organization or school to install solar panels. The two power firms will unveil their new tariff levels at a Legislative Council meeting tomorrow. Lizzie Mock, Cable News.
Brace for a lot more hot summer nights, according to experts from the city's leading universities. The observatory currently classifies a hot night as one where the minimum temperature hovers over 28 degrees. Between 2011 and 2020, there were 32 hot nights per year on average. Researchers from the Chinese University, the University of Hong Kong, and the University of Science and Technology estimate that number to jump to 48 by 2040 to 2049. They also warned of downpours of up to 230 millimeters per hour 2 decades from now, 40% higher than the record black storm in September. The experts urged the government to review the weather warning system from time to time so that it aligns with the prevailing situation. Authorities should also consider setting up permanent shelters, they added.
The government can find a way to make sure that those centers are performing well. But the more important thing is the government has, I would say, cross-bureau action group to make sure that the plans are coordinated.
The research team urged town planners to factor in the summer heat when developing new areas, such as the Northern Metropolis or even the artificial islands near Khao Yi Chau. Citizens should also tackle climate change by reducing their carbon footprint whenever possible. Janice Yu, Cable News.
Hong Kong's birth rate dived to an all-time low last year, with only 32,500 newborns. The government, which is already dealing with an aging population, is trying to counter the worrying trend by offering mothers $20,000 for every child they give birth to. To be eligible, either parent must be a Hong Kong permanent resident and the baby must be born in the city. Preliminary figures from the Immigration Department suggest there were 2,806 birth registrations in the 1 month or so since the measure was rolled out. That is a 15% increase from the same period last year, but more or less the same compared to 2021. Of those parents who registered their newborns with authorities over the past weeks, only 761, or 1/4, applied for the cash bonus at the same time. That translates into $15 million of public expense. But they can only receive the money as soon as the first quarter of next year, when lawmakers are expected to approve a funding request. The government reminded parents that applications for the cash bonus must be lodged within 6 months of the child's birth. But analysts say the measure's effectiveness can only be gauged from the second half of 2024, when the first batch of mothers heeding the policy to have more children go into labor. Janice Low, Cable News.
An 8-month-old infant remains in critical condition in hospital a day after he was thrown out of the car on the Tolo Highway. The accident took place at around 2 p.m. yesterday when the child's family was traveling north towards Shenzhen. As they approached Classical Gardens in Taipo, the baby's father lost control of the vehicle and collided with the central divider. The side door became open and their domestic helper flung out of the cabin together with the baby, who was resting in her arms. It was not known if she had properly put on her seatbelt. The 28-year-old helper is in serious condition, while the infant's 32-year-old mother was stable. Another woman was discharged from hospital. The 52-year-old father, who was arrested yesterday for dangerous driving, causing grievous bodily harm, has been released on bail. He is due to report to a police station in January.
14 Israelis and 3 foreign nationals have been released by Hamas in the third round of personnel exchange with Israel under a 4-day truce. Among them was Abigail Eden, a 4-year-old Israeli girl who also holds American nationality. In emotional scenes, some of the Israeli hostages released earlier were reunited with their families. There were also scenes of jubilation in the occupied West Bank after Israel released 39 Palestinian prisoners as part of the swap. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was seen paying a surprise visit to soldiers in the Gaza Strip, said he was willing to extend the ceasefire should Hamas release more hostages. But he vowed to continue where it left off once the ceasefire ends.
Hong Kong's exports rebounded last month, ending 17 consecutive months of decline. Exports in October increased 1.4% year-on-year to $380 billion, compared to a 5.3% drop the previous month. For the first 10 months of 2023, exports still fell 11% compared to the same period last year. Exports to the mainland and the United States surged, but deliveries to the European Union fell. Despite the uptick, the government said overall export performance largely remained weak. Total imports, meanwhile, increased 2.6% to $406 billion.